Now, I think this is like 10 years ago. I don't know, maybe more than 10 years ago. I used to work at a big box gym. And guys, I just want to share something that I don't know who need to listen to this video or who's listening to this video, but this is something that happened to me and sometimes it still happens to me. So I just want to share this and put it out there. I'm going to share 3 points with you, and these 3 points, these are the things that are killing your happiness. If you're doing this thing, you need to start changing and thinking, what can I do best to stop doing this stuff? I have been one of those guys who was doing this. So I think it's around 12 years ago, 13 years ago, not the exact time, I was working in this big box gym. And when I was working in this big box gym, I came there and there was maybe 4, 5, 6 trainers that were already established. And they were doing amazing work. They were training clients, they were fully booked and all that. And for the first maybe 6 to 8 months, the only thing I did was to compare myself to them. I wanted to be like them. I wanted, the way they were busy. I used to compare myself to them. And they were on the floor like doing 10 clients. I'm doing 3. I spent so much energy comparing myself to them and, just wanting to be like them, looking at every move they were doing and everything they were doing, that I could not focus on myself. So the number one thing I'm talking about is comparing yourself to others. Until I stop comparing myself to others and start being able to stick in my zone and start running my own show, I wasn't going anywhere. And when I talk about comparison, comparing yourself to others, there's a healthy way of doing that. And there's the other way, which I was doing, that I was focusing on them so much that I could not focus on myself. Comparing is okay, but it depends on how you are using it. If you're using it to enable you to go forward and be the best version you can, that's amazing. That's what you need to do. But if you're comparing yourself to other people, then it's pulling you down, it's putting you off. That's just not cool. So my first point is stop comparing yourself to others in a bad way. If you're going to compare yourself to others, use it as a motivational device or use it as a motivational thing. Stop using it to pull you down. You have something amazing in you. And that thing, nobody can be who you are. So when you compare yourself to other people, you're killing that thing, you're killing that uniqueness that you have. And every one of us has got some uniqueness. That's why there's nobody like you in this world. So in that case, stop comparing yourself and start being able to craft what you have, that uniqueness, find it and start working on it. That's the first point. Stop comparing. If you have to compare, use it as a fuel to become better. Now, number 2, the one thing that made me get away from that pack mentality was I stopped blaming people for my fuck-ups. Seriously, I stopped blaming people. I used to blame myself. One of the stories I used to tell myself was like, I never got the best education. I never went to the best school. I cannot read and write. I cannot do this. The reason why they're doing this is because they've got degrees. I don't have a degree and all that. And when I was working in this big box gym, I think we were almost 30 trainers. And trust me, I could say maybe 25 of them had some sort of degree in some sort. So when things were going hard, I used to tell myself this story, I'm not as good as them because they've got better education. I never went to school in that sense. Stop blaming people for your mistakes. The moment you take ownership, the moment you start saying, this is what I want, this is who I am, and stop blaming people for your mistake, trust me, you will start taking responsibility. And the moment you take responsibility, shit happens for you. Now, seriously, the moment you say, this is who I am, this is where I am, the next question you ask yourself is, what do I need to do? Stop using this, or I'm not fit enough, or I'm not healthy enough, I cannot read, I don't have a car, when I do this. That's just, stop blaming people. Stop blaming people for the mistakes that you have in life. I don't have this happened to me because of this. No. I want you to raise your standards. I want you to take full responsibility of your life and start getting shit done. Like seriously, that's it. It comes down to one point. And that point is getting shit done. Taking responsibility where you are. Taking responsibility for the things that are not happening in your life. Taking responsibility for all the mess up that you've done and owning them and starting and being able to move forward. So guys, that's point number 2. Okay? Take responsibility of your mistake and stop pointing fingers. One of my clients used to tell me a long time ago, Tom, remember when you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 or 4 that are pointing back at you. So if you want to know how you can change, when you point a finger and say, that person did this to me, remember there's 3 fingers that are pointing at you and saying, hey, we are 3 of us here saying, you take responsibility, take ownership, and let's move forward. Now, guys, the last point, it's just something that I find I still do it. But I've worked so hard to be able to get away from it. And I say, trying to please people. People pleasing, and I know I do it. Sometimes I find myself doing. It's basically you're investing time in people that won't invest the same time in you. That's what I will say. So you're pleasing people. People pleasing or investing time in people that won't invest the same amount of time in you. Or if your friend calls you and say, hey, let's go out, you will go. If you call them and say, oh, hey, Jen, or whatever, John, let's go out there, like, oh, I'm too busy and all that. When you feel like you're investing more time in your friends and they don't invest the same time, I call that people pleasing. And I did that for a long time. I just want to tell you this. You will never please everyone in your life. You will never. So people pleasing, it's going to take a lot of energy from you. You are going to be exhausted. You're going to waste a lot of time. I've got one of my mentors who told me this. Time and energy is the most important resources that you have. And if you don't know how to utilize that, if you don't know how to use that, and if you don't know whom to use it to or share it with, you're in big problem. So guys, seriously, these 3 points, they are so simple. But for us to be able to do them, it becomes a very, very hard thing. Stop comparing yourself to other people because you are amazing the way you are. You have something, you've got something amazing, something special in you that somebody needs to know. Stop pleasing people. Be who you are. Those who love you, they will love you the way you are. Those who don't love you, that's just how it is. Just be who you are. If you don't want to do something, just say no. If you want to do something, you just keep it real. And just take ownership. Take ownership of your mistake and be who you want to be. And don't blame people for the fuck-ups that you've made. That's the only way you are going to start pushing forward. You know what, guys? I always say this. It's time to keep it real and take ownership of your life.